Hi there, it's Tim from Diversity and Ability. I'm here to talk about note-taking using a digital mind mapping tool such as XMind. Now, one of the reasons that I'm using this one to demonstrate is that, as you can see here, I'm on the web page and we can see that there's a free download for Windows, but there's also a free download for Mac or even Linux should you choose. So if I switch across to my map, and you can see here we've got the content of what we're going to be looking at today. And I'm going to start here with why use digital mind maps. Well, these can be really useful tools for putting together non-linear notes. And one of the really helpful things about them is that they can be really visual. They can work in a much more sort of 360 fashion, as you can see here. And what's more, as you'll see later, they can contain a great deal more information than you can see on the surface. And finally, it allows for really easy and simple reorganization of ideas. So if you notice just here, I want to move that one up the list because I think that's more important. So I can just click and drag it up to the top here. Okay, let's start taking some notes. First things first, it's always good to get a title in there. So I'm going to type in the name of this class. Good. Ooh, slight typo there. And then I'm going to press enter, and you can see that's fixed that information in place and has resized the object. Then if I press enter again, you can see it's giving me the ability to add in new terms here. So I'm going to put in learning objectives because I know that that's the next part of the slideshow. Good. And then I know that after that, we're talking about types of wave. Good. And so on and so forth. So you can see each time I just type in the thing, press enter, that will fix it in place. Then I press enter again, and it gives me the next object in turn. So, I'm going to add one that I know is coming up about swash. And there we go. Now, if I wanted to add in a subtopic for this, I can tap my tab key on the keyboard. You can see it comes in with a subtopic just there. And then I can say opposite of backswash or backwash. Good. And so I can fill in the blanks here. I can add in extra information. I can use what I'm hearing from what the tutor is telling me. Good. Now, more to the point, if I go to slide number 2 just here, something that can be really handy, particularly if you have access to the slides, is that then I can actually copy each of these different learning objectives. And then I can go to the learning objective section and paste. And you'll notice that each of them has now come through as a separate subtopic attached to that object. And that will work anywhere on the map. Now, this map is starting to come together, but I want to add in extra detail. Particularly, I want to talk about the actual answer to this question of why do waves break? Now, I could add it in as a subtopic, but that might start to become overwhelming with the number of different objects around the map. So instead, what I'm going to do is click on this Notes tab just here, and you'll see it pops open with this Notes panel, and I can start adding in things about the differences in speed that is affecting these waves. Good. Now, if I click elsewhere, for instance, on learning objectives, notice that I've now got this yellow notes icon on why do waves break. And if I hover over it, I can see that there is a quick preview of the information. Now, if I want to go to add to it, I can click back on why do waves break and then click back in my notes panel and add in further details here and whatever that may be. And then I can click on learning objectives and start writing a note for this one as well, as you can see here. So our map is starting to come together, but there's further things that we can do with it. If I just full screen this map, let's talk about two things. First of all, if I click this Fit Map button, you'll see it's now recentered and resumed the map. That's a really useful function because it means that if you scroll off the edge, you can always get back to the center. Now, we just here, we've got this section about sub-aerial processes, and I want to add to that. So I can right click and go to Insert. You can see there's a range of different options here, but in this instance, what I want to do is add in an image. Wherever that went, there it is, image from file. I can then navigate to this coast folder that I've set up, and then I can choose this sub-aerial processes photo and click open. And you can see it's embedded the image in there. I can then resize it because it is a bit ginormous at the moment. Then if I click view and fit map again, it then recenters the map. Additionally, I can also do things such as selecting large number of objects like this. I could do this individually as well, but it's easier to do it in a group. And then click on this paintbrush icon. And you can see it gives me a range of different options here. So I can choose to make sure that they are all wrapped in that rounded rectangle as I've got across the main topics of the map. And then I can even actually choose a color, which for learning objectives, I'm going to give it this color. And you can see that's a quick and easy way of being able to distinguish. And yet again, clicking the view fit map will work here as well. Finally, I just want to talk about a couple of things of adding in supplemental information to your maps. So first of all, I'm going to close that panel. Then I'm going to click on lecture details because it would be helpful to have the PowerPoint that we've been using attached to this map. So if I right click and go insert and then come down and choose attachment, you can see just here, we've got that coastal processes and landforms PowerPoint just there. And if I click open, you'll see it's now attached it as a sub branch, but more to the point, it's got this attachment icon, which I can click on, and then that will take me across to the PowerPoint itself. In fact, it will open it twice. Additionally, what if I wanted to add in some extra information that was relevant to one of these topics? So you can see here I've got this article about longshore drift. I can just select the URL, go to copy, and then come back to the map, right click on this longshore drift item, and then go down to insert and then choose hyperlink. In here, I can then paste my URL address and click OK. And you can see it's now got this link icon, which yet again, clicking on that will take us to the article again. So it's a way of being able to keep everything together in one place without it all being on show at once. Finally, just one last thing to talk about is that you can actually reduce the visual stress from looking at large amounts of information just using these minus symbols next to the main topics to be able to park it just down to the topics attached to the first level of points. So I hope this has been a helpful exploration, and I will see you in the next video.